Okay, it's about 4 hours after my initial video. It's still July 29th, 2021. Wanted to do a progress video here real quick and just document what we found. A couple of damages and a couple of repairs that are going to be needed is, you know, when you take the pin out of this hinge for the hood, the first time I hit it, this just broke right off. So luckily that one strip for the hinge needs to be replaced. The one on the hood is appears to be okay. One of the little prongs is a little bit bent out, but that's okay. We can get that in the press. As far as these repair panels, figured out what they were. I thought they were actually welded here to the fender, and that's not the case. What they are is they put this plate up against here, and then they welded a piece of sheet steel to that, kind of in a 90-degree angle, and then they made it flush to follow the trim, and it's a cover for the original step. And the reason for that, and I'll get up underneath there on the other side and show you, but that there's a bracket that's right about here that's just absolutely rusted. The original step is there, but I think just for speed of repair and probably a cost savings at one point in this thing's life, it was to go ahead and fabricate this. Now I'm gonna check, because I think as long as the original step is on there, this repair, or this support plate, may not affect value too much. It's actually better for the vehicle. It's almost an improvement on what was standard, because as you know, these steps were just sheet metal and they were barely hanging on there. I've got all the bolts out. There was just a bolt and a fender washer and then a nut on the back. I don't know, 1/2 inch standard 7/16 bolt. And the other thing that is really interesting is underneath that, it's green, and then yellow, and then this primer. So I'm not sure if it was originally a green, OD green, and then with the yellow wheels like the civilian Jeep would have had. But also this is tan, so that would have been the Harvest tan from 1946, early. So this yellow is not the original paint, nor is the red. It's actually Harvest tan, and the reason I know that is I can flick this red right off of that Harvest tan, and then right below the Harvest tan is the original metal. It's rusted. And then you've got the red kind of below the red, below the yellow, and some places it's above. There's some overspray red there. Now I wanted to catch you up to speed on this, because this is really important to this vehicle. It's a tubular frame. So when I look at the plate here, for that bracket that holds the bumper itself on, that bracket to the frame, I'm not sure if it's original. It's welded. You can see it's welded, and that's a factory weld. And the bracket below and the leaf spring mount, because I told you before, this is a salvage bumper, and I do have a receipt from that. Previous owner, or the owner before that, or the owner before that actually picked that up. I believe in 2005 is what the receipt says. But the most interesting thing to find is that radiator support bracket, or grill support bracket, is tubular. And from my understanding, that is only available on the GPW and the MBs, which would tie into why that's a GPW serial number on the block down there. Did find out that this radiator is shot. I mean, the fins, I can just look, you can just flake them off. They're the horizontal, but still, I mean, when you're talking a complete resto to get to, you know, near as professional as I can get it. What's the use in trying to reuse that? I mean, it might be salvageable somehow, but I don't think so. I think, you know, with just that, and that probably indicates that there's a leak or has been a leak. And obviously this radiator cap is just dripped right down there. Now over here, it's not too bad. But where that radiator, where this leak is, you can see. The same thing that I showed you on the other side on this support bracket. I want to get up underneath there and actually show you what has been done. Oh man, old knees. So you can see there kind of how the L fabrication of the sheet steel, and then that is the original step, and it's shot. I mean, that was part of the original tub, see, and there's one of those just standard 7/16 bolts that's going through that support bracket, but you see how this is just destroyed. I mean, I can almost flick it. There's a lot of rust, a lot of grime. It looks like somebody tried to put some kind of a, I don't know, sorry about the dog there, tried to put some sort of a, I don't know, bed liner or something under here, because it's under here. It was under the fenders, but it's nowhere else under here. And just got photobombed by Althea. She's photogenic. But like I said before in the earlier video, you know, all of this stuff was leaking. You know, this is the same day it was power washed, so that oil and grease and stuff hadn't had a chance to kind of seep back to where it was. And I didn't really get up underneath here with the master cylinder. Doesn't look like it's leaking too bad. I can't really get it with the white the way it is, but we'll see that whenever we get the body off the the tub, and we'll go from there. It's probably going to need a new wiring harness. This thing has been spliced and respliced and spliced and then spliced some more. There's a lot of places where these brackets have rubbed through the wires. Again, on that horn, I don't think that's original. I think that's probably salvage. And then that intake manifold, I don't know why that's green. A lot more research, but I wanted to get the Mickey Mouse stuff out of the way and just get the fenders off, and then eventually get this tub off and really dive into, you know, what I haven't already documented. And before we touch anything that's major, mechanical or, you know, engine-wise or anything, because if it's worth it to put what I would call sufficient amount of money in this thing to get it to a good, you know, $20,000 or more value at today's market, and then just watch that increase over time, then we'll probably do that. But I don't know if you know, it's really going to be worth the while to dump, you know, a few more $1,000s into it. And the scariest thing for me, transmission, axles, transfer case, I'm fine with. Those can be repaired. They can be, you know, straightened. They can be re-welded. They can be fabbed up. The bearings are probably shot. The seals are shot. The pinion, the ring and pinion, I don't know. But I want that block to be good. I got my fingers crossed. As soon as I get in there, do a compression test on it. Once I get the tub off and I can get in there with the socket, I want to do a manual compression test to find out what kind of pressure we're getting in those cylinders and see if those rings are good. And then I'm going to do a bore scope down in there and see if I can make anything on the cylinder, or excuse me, the piston heads, and then go from there. I didn't notice anything on this oil bath cleaner that would make me think that it's anything other than a stock 1946. There's a lot of lettering on here. I'm going to go and read about that a little bit. And then the color, it is black. And then this oil filter, cleans up really nice, but it says military standard filter. So, I don't know, it's a hodgepodge of stuff, but I wanted to document that tubular radiator support and get that on the camera right away, because some of the colors in here, some of the stuff, some of the serial numbers, the GPW has got me thinking that the original frame and engine might have been something, and then they put a different tub and then kind of pieced together the shifter. And so anyway, I don't want to get my hopes up, but that's where we're at right now. I'm probably going to stop for the evening. I've got to feed everyone in the house, including me. And tomorrow I will jump into doing the separations that are required to get the bathtub off, and figure out how I can do get the tub off over the steering shaft and the shifter shaft, or disconnect it down at the steering box. Bear with me. And again, I'll probably get the tailgate off and just the wiring and all that stuff out of there and get it in some pieces. One of the things I wanted to document too is that when I take things apart, not everybody's as anal retentive as I am. I just kind of got that over the years. But one of the things that I do, this is my work table. So this is the stuff, I've got my tools out there. I only pull out the tools that I need, for the pieces, the area that I'm working on. Then, as I take little brackets and stuff apart, I put them in a pile. So here's the regulator. Here's the driver's side with the fuse panel. Here is the radiator. As you can see, it's laid out, driver's side, center radiator. And then this is the passenger side bracket, hood, and the fender, nuts and bolts. Those nuts and bolts are all shot. Obviously, the threads are so rusted and everything, so those are going to have to be replaced, and also probably these with the springs. But I also did that with the headlights, the nuts and bolts for that driver's side, the headlight, and the little ring, the bolts that go around that. And then this is just upside down right now. And what I'm going to do later on this evening is I'll come back with some Ziploc bags and a Sharpie, and I will put each pile, each item, grouped together with its parts into that Ziploc baggie and write on it exactly what it is, maybe what I broke and what I missed, or what was missing. You know, there's a lot of empty bolt holes, and I'll write that on that Ziploc baggie. And then as I get progressively more into the vehicle, in the disassembly, I have another shelf just like this right inside my door. And I'll actually stack, on one shelf will be frame, on one shelf will be body, on one shelf will be, headlights, electrical. That will get the majority of everything for the body and all of the Mickey Mouse stuff out of the way. Then when I'm into just the frame, the axles, the transmission, the transfer case, and the engine parts, well, old school, I've got some fold-up tables. And I'll just set those over here like this. And as I take things off, I'll turn around and I'll set them down. I take a piece of masking tape and I write down right on it what it is. I put a box on top of the table with the parts in it. Reason for that, everybody's kicked the table and the stuff rolls around, so that's just the way I do it, method to my madness. 15 minutes just to supplement the other video from earlier today. And as we progress, we will document and take photos and pictures and videos just to see how we're coming along. Anytime I come across something that's broken or missing, I'll click on the camera, or at least at the minimum, take a picture of it. Haven't found any breaks on the frame yet. Looks like that's gonna clean up nicely. Fingers crossed on that. But I did want to catch this, the lettering on the oil filter, and then the lettering on the oil bath air filter. And that tube. So, talk to you in a bit. Hang with us, we're doing a good job. I've got a 6-month goal to get this done, with the exception of paint and body work. And I think we're gonna be right on schedule. Probably gonna beat that pretty good. And I'm not even worried about the cost yet. Imagine that. Because I wanna make my guy happy. And he's a good dude. Alrighty. Yeah, I think his family's gonna be greatly impressed with this. That's awesome. All right, take care.